You're listening to the FM Talk Show, brought to you by CER Facility and Property Management. Keep abreast of the latest industry news and conversations with facility management leaders and practitioners. The FM Talk Show, advancing and promoting the FM industry and profession. Here is your host, Craig Henry.
Welcome to our third FM Talk Show. We're talking facilities management and all for the advancement of the FM industry and profession. Once again, we have the three elements to our show. Firstly, being a bit of news and commentary. Secondly, having a discussion with two of our FM industry leaders. And third and finally, our storytelling, where we continue on our journey circumnavigating South Africa. So today, before getting to the news, today we'll be talking to David Pierre Eugene, the head of Group Facilities Discovery, and Jan Botha of Core Vision. Both of these persons represents organizations that were winners in the recent SAFMA FM Awards. So firstly, to get on to some industry news, and yes, last week we had the SAFMA FM Awards, and this show was to be dedicated to those winners. Unfortunately, we could not, invite as many to the show as we would have liked, as certain organizations has a public relations policy that only limits interviews with certain position holders. But what I'll be doing is just running through the various awards and the winners in each award category. So for the Young Achiever of the Year award, the Gold Award went to Dr. Balibali of Bidvest Facility Management. The Platinum Award to Tepiso Makokoe of Bidvest Facility Management as well. The second category being Technology Implementation. The Silver Award went to FM Digitization by Attack and Core Vision. And indeed, we'll be talking to Jan of Core Vision a little bit later. The Gold Award went to the Boulders Shopping Centre Smart Water Metering and Water Saving by Redefine Properties. The Platinum Award went to Grace, which is a computerized management system developed within the Bidvest Facility Management Organization. The third award category was the Facilities Manager of the Year. The Gold Award went to Johan Pieterse from Bidvest Facility Management. The Platinum Award to Tjart van der Walt, also from Bidvest Facility Management. The third category, or fourth category, was Excellence in Facility Management. The Gold Award went to Building the Legacy, that is Turbo Facility Solutions. The Platinum Award went to Moving to One Discovery Place, submitted by Discovery, and we'll be shortly having a discussion with David of Discovery. The last award was the Chairman's Award, which went to Hendrik Vandenberg of Bidvest Facility Management. And it would have been great if we could have had certainly more of these individuals and organizations on the show, just to speak firsthand of what led to the nomination and the eventual, being announced as the winner. And we can only but really congratulate all winners and hope that through just being aware of the awards and the winners, that it would certainly encourage other organizations to participate a lot more actively in the next call for awards. And yes, that the individuals within the industry can really put themselves forward for whether you are platinum, gold, or runner-up. It doesn't matter. The fact is that you are being recognized for your distinctive contribution towards the industry. So just some further news on the FM standard space. So 2 weeks ago or more, we spoke a bit about the standards development within FM. But more recently, we have another facility management standard that was published, and that was late in 2018. This was the Facility Management Standard ISO TS 17021-11 2018, and it's titled Conformity Assessment, Requirements for Bodies Providing Audit and Certification of Management Systems, Part 11, Competence Requirements for Auditing and Certification of Facility Management Systems. So the focus of this standard is really on the certification community as opposed to the FM community. Of course, it is relevant. Now, just to give some further context, in order to develop an accreditation program, this is an area of the South African National Accreditation System, and they would develop an accreditation program in facility management such that prospective certifying bodies can actually make application to SANAS to be accredited to certify other organizations. These certifying bodies would then have to demonstrate that they conform to the ISO TC 17021 standard. So that is where it sort of fits into the picture. So one day when we do have an accreditation program, we will have certifying bodies that is accredited by SANAS, and you would then be able to approach these certifying bodies for them to assess your conformance to the facility management standard. There are two other standards that's currently under development. This is the development of facility management strategy. And I think here we can certainly feel very proud because we have a South African that is the convener of this working group, Halgar Pina. He has been very active in our local technical committee in facility management. He represents an organization called Pragma. So, Halgar, we are certainly very proud of you representing certainly the global FM community, but being a South African, being heading up this subcommittee. The other standard that's under development is influencing. It's ISO 41015, and that's influencing behavior for improved facility improved facility outcomes and user experience. I think also of note is the facility management, the asset management standard, and in November of 2018, a revision to the ISO 55002 standard was published. It is now the ISO 55002 2018. So the asset management standards has been published some while ahead of the facility management standard, and it describes how we need to manage assets without defining what is an asset. But of course, in our facility management space, we have what we typically call the built environment asset, and that's the environment in which we live, we work, we reside. And the asset management standard, describes the management system required to manage your assets. So it's absolutely relevant and applicable to facility managers. So we are now moving on to our conversation section, and we have David Pierre Eugene, who is the head of Group Facilities Discovery. And of course, Discovery was successfully being awarded the FM Excellence Award. And David, we'd just like to thank you very much for joining us on our FM talk show, and welcome.
Thank you, Craig.
Good.
Thank you, Craig. Thank you for the introduction.
Thank you. David, I think many of us that works in Sandton, or whether we just going through Sandton on a shopping spree, would certainly see the new Discovery building. It's diagonally opposite Sandton City, and it's sort of is in a very prominent place. You certainly cannot miss it. Can you share with us just a quick overview of Discovery, the organization, and its organizational vision, and more particularly how that the Discovery vision directed the design of the Discovery Place, the architectural look and feel, and how it was to enable the work and service of Discovery. Thanks.
Okay, well, as you said, many people actually are members or interact with Discovery as a whole, because Discovery is a shared value insurance company, which we operate across the world through our model of incentivizing people to be healthier and enhance and protect their lives.
Yes.
We are in the healthcare, life insurance, short-term insurance, saving, investment products, wellness market, and also going into the banking financial sector.
Yes.
We have over 12,000 employees in South Africa.
Yes.
And over 10 million clients in 16 countries. Okay, which a lot of people might not know through our Vitality Group. We actually are in 16 countries across the world.
Yeah,
so
great.
We get a lot of international visitors coming through. Okay. In terms of the building was supposed to manifest the physical representation of our values, of what we stand for. Of wellness, of the spaces represent what we stand for, being part of the community. So you'll see it's quite inviting.
Yes.
We allow visitors to come in. Our ground floor is a public space.
Yes.
Where people can come in and have lunch there. There's coffee shops and interact. And we want to invite the community. And we get a lot of members coming through to our building. We have our Discovery store on site.
Yes.
So we get between 200 and 300 of our members coming in to interact with us and engage with us.
Great. Yes.
So that was what's important about the building.
Yes.
To represent our values. But also what we did is our art stadium and the team to give us some design principle or guiding principles when we were going through this project. And some of them, the way they put it to us was what Discovery is and what Discovery is not.
Yes.
For example, it shouldn't be something that says we have arrived. More that we have a proud history and we've just started. So you'll see there's no actual, it's very flowing, the building, the design of the building, very flowing, showing continuous improvement, always growing, looking forward. It does show, on the strength, it's not a mollowness or demand admiration, rather it evokes trust and respect. It's legitimate power.
Right.
Aesthetics was not to be opulent, but to have just simple beauty.
Yes.
No opulence on there.
Yes.
As an ambiance, it had to be vibey, so you see Grand Central type of vibe.
Yes.
So you've been there, Craig. So as you walk through the concourse, you see the activity and the energy that comes through. And that is very important in terms of the building, because we tend to feed off that energy.
And I can...
the hierarchy, sure, you do.
Yes,
Sorry, Craig. Just cut me off if you want to ask.
No, I just...
From the hierarchy point of view, that was to be egalitarian versus exclusion. So the executive sits within their team. There's quite a flat structure, and the standards are equivalent to our organization.
Yeah, David, I can...
Two other more principles.
I can certainly, David, identify with the whole inviting experience, and actually feel not only inviting yourself in, but just the absolute, if I can say, freedom to be able to be part of the building, part of the organization. Indeed, I've just popped in there many a time and to have a coffee and have something to eat. So I can only but concur that you've absolutely achieved success in that regard. And David, in terms of the leading role that facility management played in this development, because often, facility managers tend to be given something and not actually lead the development. How did Discovery approach this and actually sort of made facility management the lead organization to create this environment?
Well, the fortunate thing is that I do head up that's called a corporate real estate services, which includes facilities management.
Yes.
So we were given as the owners of the project. So we actually are set up in 2012.
Yes.
I presented where our growth was going to be, and from there recommended a campus, which we went up to an RFP, the various options, and
Yes.
and so what was good was we were leading the organization, or the property expert for the organization, and also to include my team through the process as well.
Yes.
So from choosing the tiles with the interior designers,
Yes.
choosing the technical side, the generator sizing, everybody was part into the solution. Versus just having the consultants being involved.
Yes.
So my teams were part of the design process. We had regular meetings, and they were involved as part of the technical team, the design team, and signed off individually the space,
Yes.
the design. So, because as you know, the life cycle of the building, 15% of the cost is the setup.
Yes.
But 75% is the running cost of
Absolutely.
the building over its lifestyle. So the decisions we make up front has long-term consequences. So it was very important for us to be able to have the voice, because we would be the one running it as a
Absolutely.
triple net lease.
Yes.
We would manage it, and we wanted to ensure, and from the onset, we would have had control of what was chosen and how it was done.
Yeah, that's absolutely the way to go. And just the final question, David, if I recall, you had some 6,000 employees that actually transitioned from various locations into One Discovery, and that is a massive organizational change. How did you actually go about this process and actually making the transition employees, feeling part of the process and actually want to, move to this new location? How was that sort of led and managed?
Okay. Yeah, no, so it was, the key element here was to, from the outset, we said we want to involve everybody in this process.
Yeah.
This is a journey. So from every staff member, every contractor, we wanted to then make part of the process. So probably 18 months before the move, we started having sessions with employees.
Yes.
And we approached these sessions in 3 phases. The third session was why we moving, answering that question.
Yes.
So we had the model, we had, and we took them through the why we were relocating, because we wanted to consolidate from 5 buildings into one, to be One Discovery brand.
Yes.
And we took them the philosophy behind it. And the second phase was to take them through the what we need. So where are you going to? What's going to be there? We did actually tours of the building while it was being constructed. We had, I think, over so many sessions of the 7,000 people that we relocated. I think probably about 4,500 people went through all the sessions.
Wow, that's
so the uptake was good. We had videos, we communicated a lot. We had a communication strategy. It was all part of a change management strategy, because if we could win the people's heart, the relocation would be easy.
Absolutely.
So we answered the why, we answered the what, and the last thing was the how. In the third batch of sessions was, how do I move? Where do I move? Where do I pack? Where do I park? What happens to my access card? What happens on the day when I move? And through that process, because we went through this well-monitored change management process, and we also did surveys prior and after, we had an 86% satisfaction of people relocating into the new building. So once all the noise was cleared way before people could come in. We had an email group so we could answer questions. People had queries. We took them on a tour the week before they actually relocated. So we relocated 7,000 people over 16 weeks. 500 people a week.
Yes.
And what was also quite a great achievement for the team is that we had to also relocate 86% of our furniture.
Wow.
existing furniture across.
Yeah.
So not only did we have to build, but you also relocate build at the same time.
Gee.
So that was quite a logistical coordination exercise.
Absolutely. Well, David, I can only but say, congratulations to you and of course your team, because I think what you've described to us is sort of a real model process or way to approach not just such a development, but just the transition into a new building. And I've got no doubt that there are many learnings, and I'm sure if you were to do it again, there's even ways in which you'd improve. But I think what you've done, what you've achieved, and I know that that Discovery is actually very inviting, that if anyone would like to visit your facility and like to understand how this is achieved, you as an organization, you actually welcome people to come and visit. Because I think the last time you mentioned you actually got a dedicated a tour guide, if I recall correctly. Eh?
That's correct.
Yes.
So, because of our international footprint,
yes.
we do take a lot of people across the building, and our communities, our doctors, brokers,
yes.
but also professional other facilities managers.
Yes.
I've taken a lot of our from F&B to Sanlam. Everybody
yes.
has been coming through. I think as FM practitioners, we should share our knowledge and for the industry's benefit.
That's it. Thank you. David, thank you very much, and really appreciate the time you've set aside for us. And have a great day. And again, please convey our thanks and congratulations to your team. Thank you.
Thank you. I will do so.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Bye.
You're listening to the FM Talk Show, brought to you by CER Facility and Property Management. CER Facility and Property Management is capable to meet the diverse needs of any organization, where the built environment is a core enabler of the organization's strategy and operational performance. CER Facility and Property Management is part of the greater CER ecosystem of people-centered enterprises, focusing on high-performance facilities and physical assets, and range from advisory to operational services, and over the life cycle of the built environment, from portfolio strategy, design, construction, occupational readiness, operations, and repurposing. CER Facility and Property Management, built environments for human flourishing.
Right, welcome back. We are just making contact with our next guest, which is Jan Botha, and the Silver Award under the technology category went to FM Digitization by Attack and Core Vision. Just to take a moment again to reflect on the discussion with David, I think when I was at the privilege of serving SAFMA, this is many years ago, as the then president, I decided that a matter that I wanted to pursue was getting the facility manager on the construction board. So I think we're all very familiar with construction sites, and when you drive past a construction site, maybe you've looked for the construction board in particular. If not, the next time you pass any construction site, you will find what we call the construction board, and on that board, you will see who the development is for. You would see who all the professionals. So that would include the architects, the civil structural engineer, mechanical engineers, wet service engineers, electrical engineers, the quantity surveyors, construction project managers, and of course the building contractor itself, the construction contractor. But very rarely would you find the facility management professional listed on the construction board, and this is something that we certainly need to change, because it is the facility management professional that is able to understand how the building will actually fulfill its function within the organization, and how it's to be operated and maintained. So if I could certainly encourage all developers, professionals, to make sure that that you have a facility management consultant on board as part of your professional team, and I can assure you that that will only guarantee a successful project. So let's hope and see that we start to see construction boards with the facility manager on the board. So thank you very much. We are about to have our conversation with Jan Botha. Good afternoon, Jan. Welcome to the FM Talk Show.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, excellent. And Jan, congratulations on the Silver Award that went to yourselves and as Core Vision and Attack, and it was titled FM Digitization by Attack and Core Vision. Now, Jan, the way, just recalling reading the nomination, is that Attack has partnered with Core Vision and specifically a product called My Building, following a successful pilot or project implementation in Cape Town. Could you maybe just give us some insight to what actually made the product or the implementation a success, and therefore that Attack chose to roll out My Building to its entire portfolio? Thanks.
Yes, thank you. Maybe just to clarify that our pilot site was the Garden Route Mall
yeah.
in George.
In George, thank you.
In the Western Cape.
Right. Yes.
And we set out with the primary goal of not only digitizing the FM process, which is currently all across the country heavily paper-based,
yes,
which leaves a broken process by implication, but also to close that broken process with proper workflow and the ability to assign either ad hoc or scheduled work against the priority and against the person responsible for completing said task.
Yes.
That was the primary objective. We achieved that using the My Building system pretty quickly.
Right.
But what we've felt is that the team spirit enabled the software to really get into its own at that specific project.
Yes.
And after we had I'd say, whole team buy-in on the site, and this includes admin staff and tenants and third-party contractors alongside the FM team, that really made sense for Attack to roll it out across the entire portfolio.
So it's not so much the case of a software, but rather how a solution was forged where the software was a key enabler. And I think that's a very important point, which you make, because often I think organizations perhaps feel if I buy a software and I implement a software, all will be good and I will achieve my objectives. But what you're saying is it's certainly you need to get that the entire team to be part and parcel of the solution. That's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
As the CEO of Core Vision Africa, which provides the My Buildings product, I would be absolutely attacked by my colleagues if I said it wasn't our software. Obviously our software is a world-class product.
Of course, yes.
But what you're saying is absolutely right. You really need the buy-in on the ground, and that makes the difference.
That makes it, absolutely.
At the end of the day, if you don't have a contributing community to utilize the tool, you won't achieve your goals. And we achieved that pretty quickly with Attack. It's an absolutely amazing bunch of people, and it's a great company.
Yes.
And that spirit that they have has allowed us to perform the way we've done, not only at that site, but at the whole of the Attack portfolio.
Great. No, excellent. And we all know that technology is indeed a key enabler to FM excellence, and you mentioned the key role of process enablement. But just in broad, how do you see technology evolution within the computerized facility management system environment? We often hear about the fourth industrial revolution, Internet of Things, But just in your view, how is this space likely to evolve in the foreseeable years?
That's a great question, and it's one that's highly debated at the moment in the market. From a software technology point of view, everyone really pushes the software.
Yes.
What we've decided to do differently as a culture in our organization is to understand that you need to close the loop on process.
Yes.
And what I mean by that, to clarify, is you can have a system and it can send an alert or an email, it can ping a red light on a dashboard, but if you don't have the human interface to go and close that job or complete that risk or notify the authorities, whatever the problem is that they need to do, ultimately your software will let you down. And
Agreed.
our focus has been on, firstly, integrating with different industry leaders. So our software is a very operationally focused product, but we integrate into finance products and property as well. And the reason for that is they have their specialty and we have our specialty.
Correct.
Similarly,
Agreed.
so we also integrate into the IoT interface, but ultimately, similarly so that we've had success at Gone Route More, we need to be a team. There needs to be, so how I would like to describe this is, you're trying to build yourself a great fruit salad.
Yeah,
and there's many components within a fruit salad that makes it nice. But you still need a spoon to digest the fruit salad. And the teamwork and the contribution and the mutual partnership amongst all these different priorities, whether it's mobile or IoT or process flow enabling or finance, that's really what makes the big difference. There's no one solution to solve all problems. It just doesn't exist. And if you get the right people around the table, and amongst them, they identify their key priorities, very, very quickly you'll identify who the partners are that you need to collaborate with. And that is the number one biggest advice I can give anyone embarking on a digitization process.
Yes.
Get partners that are willing to speak to one another and willing to contribute towards your success. Because inevitably that's what we want. We want a more efficient, more profitable environment for our clients or for our partners.
Now, I can only concur 100%, and I like, Jan, your analogy of the fruit salad, because my view is always that us as facility practitioners, we're trying to create an experience, and that experience is made up of many elements and components. And it's really when you enjoy the fruit salad with these myriad of components of fruits and so forth, that you just enjoy that meal. So you are absolutely 100%. And Jan, I can obviously also feel your enthusiasm for facility management. And if you were to, speak to any young person that's whether they're in perhaps going through matric and wanting, sort of considering this world of FM, what would you tell such a person in terms of encouraging them to look at this sort of industry?
It's a great question. I've been asked a couple of times before. And for the property sector and facility managers at the moment, all the youngsters out there, guys, this is absolutely the right time to get into this industry. It's long been forgotten.
Yes.
The proverbial FM manager that used to walk around with a clipboard and his stackies and no one paid him respect just doesn't exist anymore. These are the space is open with technology being amply available all over the board. So get stuck in, understand what's happening on a technology front, and focus primarily on understanding how those technologies firstly solve a process problem and then close the loop in the process.
Yes.
And if you can become a specialist in solving problems with technology, you will have a bright future in this industry.
Excellent.
And it's low-hanging fruit.
Yes.
It's ready to be plucked.
Yeah.
We need the youngsters at the moment to join.
Brilliant. Jan, both you and David are certainly, model FM leaders and practitioners. And thank you very much for joining us on our show. And great, look forward to chatting again in the near future.
Yes, thank you very much for the opportunity, guys, and just loving what you guys are doing as well. My greatest compliments. Thank you for giving us a platform to broadcast to everyone out there. What a great industry this is. And
excellent.
I really appreciate it.
Great, our pleasure. Thank you, Jan. Bye-bye.
Have a lovely day.
Thank
Bye.
you. You too. Bye. Right, so we are continuing, and again, just thank you to our industry leaders, Jan and David. That was really excellent, and certainly I personally, just it just adds to my enthusiasm and excitement about FM, and I just hope that is carried over to you as well. So we are going to continue with the storytelling, my circumnavigating South Africa. And if you recall, last week we discussed the preparation and sort of did a correlation to how the preparation can be seen as, the FM strategy from an organization perspective. We spoke about the risk management. So basically, I left Pretoria, and the first day was intended to get to Pafuri, which is the sort of northeastern extremity of the country bordering on Mozambique. So the route was heading down the N4 sort of up to Nelspruit, and then working one's way up on the western side of the Kruger National Park, eventually getting to Pafuri later that day. Well, I never got to Pafuri, sadly, because during the course of the journey, my navigation system, for some reason or other, I think I left the setting on to avoid highways, and I found myself taking a bit of a detour. So I knew that something's not quite right here, and but the detour I took, and that was about a 70-kilometer detour, and as much as we have navigational tools to help us lead the way, and so too within a business context, but one cannot depend wholly or solely on a single, call it navigational tool or performance metric to give you direction. You need to also consider, one or more other indicators that just validates that I'm on the right direction. So, well, I knew I wasn't quite heading in the right direction, but I had taken the detour, and that added a good few 60, 70 kilometers to the journey. And that ultimately meant that I wasn't going to get to Pafuri, because if I were to push through, it meant I would have had to drive through the dark. And that is an absolute no-no to be done on a motorbike. And again, this is where through the course of one's journey, you always have to be conscious of changes and appreciate the risks and make the right decisions to ensure that success will be achieved. So though I may not have made Pafuri, but making the decision to not travel through the night assured that I rather achieve success on making the journey possible. But what is interesting was that, with a detour, one could get all uptight, but if you look at it as, well, this is just a different part of the world that I would not have seen had I not taken this detour. But what was actually really had a lot of meaning to me is that, through a certain section of this detour, I came across three young boys, and I would say young in terms of probably 8, 9, 10 years old. And they were busy actually cleaning or sweeping the road. So one was going through a dip, and a lot of sand had accumulated on the road surface. So sand on a road surface is, of course, a safety risk, because if you need to brake, you don't have the contact of rubber to asphalt. You have a sand layer in between, and so your braking is going to be affected, and in fact, could cause an accident. And these three boys were basically cleaning the road, and I just had to stop and say, thank you. Now, firstly, this is not what children should be doing. Absolutely not, because of the safety risks. But here were 3 children, and one was even had his own flag. So, when you pass a construction site, you normally have the flag waver, and that's to warn you that you are approaching a construction and you need to slow down. So one of the boys was the flag waver while the other 2 was busy cleaning. And I could only but say thank you for what they were doing, but not to be encouraged because it's not safe. And this just, prompted me that there is so much need for the maintenance of our road network, and so many jobs can be created, local jobs, by having people maintaining our roads and the road reserves, and of course always in a safe and a controlled manner. And this is really something that our municipalities, our provincial organizations, our national organizations responsible for our roads, there are mechanisms in which we can actually employ thousands of people to maintain our road network. So the journey continued, and I traveled through Mpumalanga and eventually overnighted at Giyani. So I couldn't get any further and had to find a place to overnight. Well, I arrived at a sort of bed and breakfast and approached the reception counter. Now, reception services is one of the many facility services that needs to be delivered within any organization. Often it's clustered under hospitality service, because what is it about? It's about, welcoming an individual that's visiting your organization. And reception services is like the first point of contact, and the experience at that reception service really sets the scene for your experience with the organization. And David highlighted how the One Discovery building was designed to welcome you into the building, and there is a reception desk that you can approach with individuals that are very, very professionally, clothed and interacting with you, and it's just a great experience. So on approaching the reception, the first thing that caught my attention was a sign that says, "Think before you pay," because we do not refund anything. Now, that really kind of like worried me, because it like reminded me of these movies when someone is going to a motel and they go to the reception, and there's this very shady looking character, and you sort of want to say, don't book into this hotel, and then we all know what happens in these modern movies. So, well, I had no choice. I didn't want to continue riding the dog, so decided to stay, and indeed my worries was confirmed. Not a great place to stay, but anyway, it was a place for the night. So reception services, very, very important in facility management, because it really is the beginning of creating an experience within the organization. So that was day one, and I could share a number of other experiences, but our time has come to an end. So next week or 2 weeks' time, we will continue on our journey, and similarly having our new snippets and having another conversation with an industry leader. So once again, thank you very much for taking the time to listen to us, and have a very blessed day further. Thank you.
You have been listening to Craig Henry on the FM Talk Show, brought to you by CER, Facility and Property Management. Tune in every second and last Thursday of the month at 2 p.m. Podcasts are available on www.cerecosystem.com.
You're listening to brandlive.co.za.